Hello and welcome to today's episode. I'm recording after a long time again. Again, this happens all the time. Today we are going to talk about second assassination attempt on Donald Trump. We are going to talk about some Israel updates. Then we are going to talk about upcoming BRICS summit in Kazan, Russia. And then finally, is India experiencing a semiconductor boom? So let's get started. Well, Trump survived another attempt on his life. This was not not really a proper attempt like the first time was. The shooter wasn't close to him. Trump was 3 to 500 yards away from the shooter when the shots were exchanged between the shooter and Secret Service. So he didn't even try to kill Trump. He was there to kill Trump. The Secret Service got him before he fired any shots on Donald Trump. This incident occurred at Trump International Golf Club, where he was playing at the time. The shooter was captured by local law enforcement after he fled the scene in an SUV. The shooter had an AK 47 with a scope, a backpack, and a GoPro camera. President Biden gave a statement. I have been briefed by my team regarding what federal law enforcement is investigating as a possible assassination attempt of former President Trump today. A suspect is in custody, and I commend the work of the Secret Service and their law enforcement partners for their vigilance and their efforts to keep the former president and those around him safe. I'm relieved that the former president is unharmed. There is an active investigation into this incident as law enforcement gathers more details about what happened. As I have said many times, there is no place for political violence or for any violence ever in our country, and have directed my team to continue to ensure that the Secret Service has every resource, capability, and protective measure necessary to ensure the former president's continued safety. Kamala Harris posted on X. I have been briefed on reports of gunshots fired near the former President Trump and his property in Florida, and I'm glad he's safe. Violence has no place in America. Trump posted a statement. There were gunshots in my vicinity, but before rumors start spiraling out of control, I want to I want you to hear this first. I am safe and well. Nothing will slow me down. I will never surrender. I will always love you for supporting me. Unity, peace. Make America great again. May God bless you. The shooter's name is Ryan Roth. Ryan Roth. He's a liberal who hated Trump. He's a supporter of Ukraine. He fought for Ukraine in a legion. Ryan Roth was recruiting Afghans from Pakistan. Here's a passage from New York Times about Ryan Roth that's going viral on X. With legion growth stalling, Ryan Roth, a former construction worker from Greensboro, NC, North Carolina, I think so, is seeking recruits from among Afghan soldiers who fled the Taliban. Mr. Roth, who spent several months in Ukraine last year, said he planned to move them, in some cases illegally, from Pakistan and Iran to Ukraine. He said dozens had expressed interest. You can probably purchase some passports through Pakistan since it's such a corrupt country, he said in an interview from Washington. Here's a passage about Ryan from Financial Times. It's a pretty big yard, but the front bank is completely full. Ryan Roth, an American volunteer who started the memorial last year, said. There may be 10,000 at this point. Flags of the fallen is what I've been calling it. Roth, a former construction worker who lives in Hawaii, is one of the thousands of foreigners who, after seeing news reports about the invasion, traveled into Ukraine in early 2022 to volunteer as fighters or medics. After Ryan Roth was caught, his digital footprint was being erased. Meta has suspended his account. His X account is also deleted. But some of the posts have been archived. users have managed to archive them. What does it say about American democracy when the main opposition is attacked twice? The attacker Ryan Roth was recruiting militants for Ukraine, which is NATO's proxy war against Russia. So, what are the chances Ryan Roth was close to US intelligence? Well, one of his earlier followers on X was ex CIA. I'm not I'm not I'm not making any connections, I'm just speculating here. If he was connected to intelligence, what would you call a country where intelligence is trying to stop one candidate from being elected? Do these people have a right to lecture anyone else in the world about democracy? Also, there are rumors going around on X that the Trump's plan for golf was like a last minute plan, last minute change, and yet this shooter managed to know where Trump was. So maybe there's a mole in Trump campaign or Trump security who informed him where he was. Maybe there's a mole who informed Ryan Roth where Trump was. Israel updates. Next up. Houthis hit Tel Aviv, Israel with a missile on Sunday. What made this attack different is multiple Israeli missiles failed to intercept. In fact, the missile traveled more than 2,000 kilometers before it hit its target. This missile is said to have changed its course, and that's why it's probably a hypersonic missile. Hypersonic missiles are called that because of their speed, which is greater than 5 times the speed of sound, or Mach 5, not because they can change trajectories. But all hypersonic missiles have the technology to change their trajectory. Speculations are these missiles hit Israeli intelligence assets, and that's why there is almost a blackout about the damage caused by this missile. But those are speculations. The Israeli government has acknowledged their failure to intercept this missile. IDF will likely retaliate against Yemen, and Israeli PM has acknowledged this, telling officials at the start of a cabinet meeting that the Houthis should have known by now that we charge a heavy price for any attempt to harm us. PM Netanyahu is preparing to fire Defense Minister Yoav Gallant and replace him with Gideon Sa'ar. If the post of Defense Minister does not pan out, Sa'ar may receive the Foreign Minister role while Israel Katz takes over for Gallant, Channel 12 reported. These rumors have been circulating for months. Members of Netanyahu's cabinet have been calling for Gallant's termination for months, angered, among other issues, by his opposition to an ultra orthodox military enlistment bill backed by the government and his public break with the prime minister over hostage deal and control over the Philadelphia corridor in Gaza. Benny Gantz, chairman of the opposition National Unity Party, was less sanguine, accusing the prime minister of contemptible political plans and the replacement of defense minister rather than focusing on victory over Hamas, the return of hostages, the war with Hezbollah, and the safe return of residents to their homes. Opposition leader Yair Lapid in response tweeted out a series of quotes from 2022 in which Sa'ar had bashed Netanyahu, saying that his principles do not allow me to support a leader who puts his personal good above everything. Any leader headed by Netanyahu will be a government that will survive due to political deals and not due to public good. We will not, we will not take part in this. Lapid quoted Sa'ar as saying. Israel detonated Hezbollah pagers. This is a wild story. Really cool, but also terrifying. Hezbollah had replaced phones with pagers because of surveillance concerns. Israel has really advanced cyber surveillance capabilities, cyber intelligence capability. It appears that Israel had managed to intercept delivery of these pagers. Mossad placed a quantity of PETN, a highly explosive material, on the batteries of these pagers handed to Hezbollah members and detonated them by raising the temperature of these batteries from afar. The Taiwanese based pager company Gold Apollo has stated that the production of the 5,000 pagers that were imported to Lebanon and eventually provided to Hezbollah, mainly the AP 924 model pager, were subcontracted to a company in Europe. This is from Reuters. The model of pagers used in detonation in Lebanon were made by a Budapest based BAC Consulting. Taiwanese pager firm Gold Apollo said on Wednesday, adding it had only licensed out its brand to the company and was not involved in the production of the devices. Gold Apollo authorized BAC to use our brand trademark for product sales in specific regions, but the design and manufacturing of the products are entirely handled by BAC, the statement said. The CEO, HSU, who? Who's Su? Su? I think it's Su. Su said he did not know how the pages could have been rigged to explode. While Su was meeting with reporters, police officials arrived at the company. Officials from Taiwan's economic ministry also visited Gold Apollo. The ministry said in a statement that there was no record of direct pager exports from Taiwan to Lebanon. Su also said Gold Apollo was a victim of the incident and planned to sue the licensee. We may not be a large company, but we are a responsible one, he said. This is very embarrassing. This is all from Reuters. Casualties are said to be more than 3,000 people. Casualties means dead plus injured. According to Israeli Channel 14, senior Israeli military officials are preparing for a third Hezbollah war, which is expected to begin almost immediately. So, 2 points I have to make here. Israeli intelligence, Mossad, is famous for doing cool spy movie things in real life. This event is one of them. This event will be studied for decades, but it makes me question their intelligence failure on October 7 even more. How can an intelligence agency famous for doing such cool spy movie things fail on such a disastrous level on October 7? That is my first point. Second point, Hezbollah has been humiliated by this event. They will likely retaliate and they have an S up their sleeve. Hypersonic missiles. Neither Israel nor US have any air defense against hypersonic missiles right now. Iran has gathered a lot of data on Israeli air defense when they retaliated with drones and missiles for Iranian consulate bombing by Israel few months ago. With hypersonic missiles and that data on Israeli air defense, Hezbollah can and most likely will do significant damage to Israel. So Israel should prepare. This news came just this morning on the morning of recording. Israel detonates thousands of Hezbollah linked walkie talkies simultaneously. About 20 people have died so far, and more than 450 people have been injured. IDF also announced on Wednesday that it was redeploying its 98th Division to northern Israel. The center of gravity is moving north. We are diverting forces, resources, and energy towards the north, Gallant told Israeli Air Force personnel at Ramat David Air Base in remarks published by his office. So, updates to the story about Israel taking out walkie talkies and pagers. Israel just bombed a meeting of senior Hezbollah leaders, and Hezbollah has since retaliated with few rockets. Israel is also are also attacking Hezbollah, but on a small scale. They haven't escalated into a full blown war yet. Here's the thing: this is tactically brilliant, taking out communications and taking out senior commanders, high level officers. This is tactically brilliant, but is it strategically brilliant? Will this result in some kind of long term success? Or is this just provocation for Hezbollah to strike Israel and Israel to retaliate and turn it into a full blown war with Hezbollah and then eventually with Iran as well? We don't know. Uh, we'll have to see what happens in the long term. But right now, it's brilliant move by Israel. One of the people killed was named Ibrahim Akwil, the second in command of Hezbollah's military forces and a commander of elite Radwan forces, who has been eliminated. So that's those are the Israeli updates. Upcoming BRICS summit in Kazan, Russia. This is the next topic. This is the title topic. Let's discuss this event. This summit will happen in Kazan on October 22 to October 24. 34 countries have expressed interest in participating in BRICS in some capacity. We cannot ignore the growing interest in BRICS on part of many countries. As of today, over 30 countries, 34 countries to be precise, have already expressed interest in joining the activities of our group in one form or another. President Putin said at a meeting with the group's high representatives in charge of security. New notable country that has expressed interest is Turkey, which is a NATO country. Putin will have bilateral meetings with India's Modi. He will have bilateral meetings with China's Xi Jinping as well. BRICS are said to be working on currency and payment systems to replace the US dollar and SWIFT. Okay, before we get to currency, let's talk about. I want to talk about. I haven't written this down, but I want to make a one. I want to make a point that is BRICS are also set to discuss expansion of BRICS or how to carry out the expansion of BRICS. What will be the structure? Will the founding members of the BRICS have any privileges over others, or will it be everyone equal? Will it be vote of the majority? That's what they will discuss. They will also discuss how to initiate or how to add new members to the group, where it will it be like direct addition to the BRICS bloc, or will it be like some states will become observer states first for few years and then become full members afterwards? They are going to discuss that. BRICS are said to be working on a currency and payment system to replace the US dollar and SWIFT. There are all kinds of speculation about the currency. It will be based on gold and silver, national currencies of BRICS countries, blockchain technology, etc. CBDC. There are all these. There's we don't know what kind of currency that will be. What we know for sure is central banks of BRICS countries, especially Russia, India, and China, have been accumulating a lot of gold in recent years. That's for sure. BRICS alternative to SWIFT mechanism will make a lot of Western multinational industries uncompetitive. With SWIFT and reserve currencies, Western countries can see all international transactions happening between countries. Of course, this is done for security reasons, but it also gives Western banks an insight in trade happening between countries. They can spy on trade between countries. Those banks can then tell their multinational industries about trading opportunities to pursue, so those Western industries and banks dominate the trade and make a lot of money. Without SWIFT, Western banks and multinational industries cannot spy on trade of countries, especially trade between major non Western economies, as easily as before. They will make more mistakes, they will miss out on trading opportunities, and therefore lose billions of dollars of trade because of alternative to Swift payment system. Just because of that. BRICS countries are major commodities players. For example, India and Russia in agriculture, and also Brazil, uh, Russia and China in metals and rare earths, Russia and Arab countries in energy sector. These are some examples. The West will not be able to set and manipulate commodities markets according to their will with a BRICS currency and payment mechanism. Then these prices will fluctuate, decreasing the purchasing power of Western countries and their citizens because commodity prices have been suppressed for a long, long time. That's why after US suspended the gold standard in 1971, it did not result in hyperinflation like Venezuela or Weimar Republic or Hungary or Zimbabwe like that. Because they were able to manipulate inflation, shove it into investments like stock market and real estate, for example. And they kept manipulating prices of commodities for the benefit of Western financial system. Well, they will not be able to manipulate commodities markets as easily as before with the BRICS currency and payment mechanism, which means their purchasing power will be affected. This is on top of stagflation and 100% debt to GDP ratio of most Western economies or G7 economies to be more precise. With China's BRI, Belt and Road Initiative, and India's INSTC, International North-South Transport Corridor, BRICS will also have their own trade routes, alternative to sea routes that are controlled by US Navy. Of course, INSTC is still in its early phases. China's BRI's success is unknown. The flagship project of BRI, CPEC, China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, is mostly a failure because of Pakistan. So we don't know how successful BRI is, Belt and Road Initiative is. And INSTC is still in early phases. And these corridors, Indian and Chinese trade corridors, they are not directly connected to one another. They have countries that are part of both, and therefore they are indirectly connected, but they are not directly connected. But the point is, BRICS will have a trade corridor or multiple trade corridors, trade routes that are not controlled by the West. So, trade routes, independent trade routes, independent currency, and independent payment mechanism, independent commodity commodity markets. This will this will slowly unlink or delink Western dominance or Western control over the trade, which is trade routes, control over currency and payment mechanisms, and commodities, natural resources, right? With the slow decoupling from the West of BRICS currencies, a multipolar world will emerge because no one trading bloc or no one country will have or will be able to control trade routes and payment mechanisms and payment currency. So no one country will, or particularly United States, to be more specific, will have a monopoly on trade. That's the multipolar world. Before, in the Cold War, you were either plugged into the American system or you were part of the Soviet bloc and therefore not plugged into the American system. With the collapse of the Soviet Union and the emergence of a unipolar world, with US as the only superpower, countries had no choice but to plug into the American trading system. And therefore, America had a monopoly, and they still do have a monopoly on trade. And that monopoly will slowly transform into a duopoly or many players. Last topic, sort of connected to this, is India's semiconductor boom. Is India experiencing a semiconductor boom? Let me give you some news that has come out in last few months. Tata Group and Analog Devices have partnered to explore opportunities for semiconductor manufacturing in India. Last month, Tata Group laid a foundation for its 27,000 crore rupees semiconductor assembly and test facility in Morigaon, Assam. Additionally, Tata Electronics is setting up India's first wafer fabrication unit in Dholera, Gujarat, which is expected to be operational by December 2026. This will produce the most commonly used 28 nanometer chips. Not the cutting edge, but the most commonly used 28 nanometers. Tata is partnering with Taiwan's Power Chip Semiconductor Manufacturing Corporation, PSMC, not TSMC, PSMC. Tata will build second and third fabs in the next 5 to 7 years. Another $10 billion joint venture fab proposal by Israel's Tower Semiconductor and Adani Group is currently under review as part of India's Semiconductor Mission (ISM). Semicon India program aims to provide attractive incentive support to companies consortia that are engaged in silicon semiconductor fabs, display fabs, compound semiconductor, silicon photonics sensors, including MEMS fabs, semiconductor packaging, ATMP or OSAT, and semiconductor design. A lot of words, too hard to explain. Sometimes some of them I don't even understand. Some of them I cannot explain properly. Basically, silicon semiconductor fabs and display fabs. So basically computer chips, displays and other transistors and semiconductors. Basically. Let's be simple here. Let's not go into the detail for now. US Micron Technology, which makes memory and storage products, will set up assembly, testing, marking and packaging. That's ATMP unit in Sanand, Gujarat. HCL Technologies announced a joint venture with China's Foxconn in January 2024 to establish a chip testing facility. L&T, Larsen and Toubro Limited, plans to invest more than $300 million to create a fabless chip company. Of course, this will not make it a competitor to Nvidia and AMD, which are investing billions of dollars, which make billions of dollars and are investing billions of dollars. L&T is only investing 300 million. They are targeting products like radio frequency semiconductors, power chips, and mixed signal integrated circuits rather than high end AI chips. Of course, some points need to be made. India has tried to get into semiconductors twice. It has failed both times. Maybe third time's the charm? This is just the beginning. It will take decades to catch up and compete with Taiwan's TSMC, South Korea's Samsung, China's SMIC, and America's Intel. Semiconductor giants like TSMC, Samsung, and Intel are not setting up factories in India, but in US, Germany, Poland, and Japan. Intel wanted to set up a factory in India in early 2000s, but decided to set up in Vietnam because of significant regulatory hurdles. But still, despite let's be realistic here. but also be optimistic, because this time the effort to build semiconductor ecosystem in India is both public and private, and domestic and international. Before it was just public sector trying in it in India. Then I think a private sector company also tried it the second time. Both of those failed. This time the effort is joint, public and private, and also domestic and international. So India's semiconductor industry is experiencing a boom. We'll have to check back in a decade to see if India becomes a semiconductor giant. Well, that's it for today's episode. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll see you guys very, very soon.